Hey guys, welcome to Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith, as always, kitchen. And today, first I gotta tell you something kind of funny. So, my dog Sam, who's 14, almost 15 years old, she's Beagle. She is just a hoot sometimes. Not quite the hoot she used to be, she's old. But she was getting large, so I put her on a diet. Cut back on her food a little bit, and of course that made her mad. Now, she has always kind of eaten vegetables, usually like when I give her scraps from cooking, but never really saw them. But since she has gone on her diet, she goes out to the garden because I'll take some of the stuff that's not usable, like that's critters got into them or whatever, and I'll put them down. I put it down in the grass. She goes after it. I think that's hysterical. Only because she's eating healthy and she just doesn't know it, which is great. I mean, she's eating peppers and tomatoes and some green beans and more peppers. She didn't get any of the cucumber this year, but she eats cucumber when I cook. She usually gets scraps. Some people don't agree with that, but whatever. So anyhow, if this is your first video, glad you got to know something about me. And I hope you find this one interesting. Check out some of my other ones. If you're returning, thank you. If you're a new subscriber, which we are consistently growing in leaps and bounds, which always blows my mind, but that's good. That means that there's people interested in what I'm doing and wanting maybe to be part of the community and, you know, being a good neighbor through food and, you know, just being nice. It's a pretty basic concept, but there's times I feel like we struggle with that, but not us, right? We're actually pretty solid at it. So anyhow, that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and that puts us out in the algorithm, right? Yeah, if we do all three of those things, that really puts us out in the algorithm, and we can grow our community even more. That's great. Love the comments that have been coming in too, like responding to all of them. It's kind of nice to have a little conversation. That being said, tonight we are going to do, we are going to do a Bundt cake, because we haven't done one in forever, and at least I feel like it's been, you know, months, and I've been wanting it. This is going to kind of kill two birds with one stone. So, you know, one of the more classic cakes, at least here in the US that I'm aware of, is a Coca Cola cake. It's made with Coca Cola traditionally. Now you can use your favorite cola as long as it's cola, and it's been around for quite a long time. I wish I knew the origins of it. I'll put it down in the description if I find it. But this is a twist on it. It's a Bundt cake version. Normally they just come in a sheet, you know, like a 9x13. But this one's a Bundt cake, and it's got quite a few moving parts. It's a little challenging. And it's been a while since I've done something that was a little challenging, and I thought that would be fun for us to do together. This actually has 22 different ingredients with 3 different things we have to do to get it all together to make one Bundt cake. So, that being said, I will give you all your measurements in grams, and along with cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, milliliters, and cups for liquids. And then that way everybody can play along, right? If you ever find out that there's another way to measure, let me know and I'll try to throw that in too. So, enough chit chat. Let's get down here to the counter and get started on this. The first step to this is going to take about 20 minutes. I mean, not for the video, but in real life. So anyhow, let's get down here and get started. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we're down here at the counter, and real quick, I'll still probably put it in the description. The first written recipe for this, for the Coca-Cola cake, was 1953, and it was in the Charleston Gazette. But they're not sure where it started or where it came from. That's just when the first recipe happened. Okay, so first thing we need to do is make a syrup, and we're going to make the syrup out of your cola, right? So I've got 3 cups, 650 or 690 milliliters of Coke in here in my case. Use whatever cola you like. And to that, I'm going to add a half a cup, 100 grams of sugar. Now, I am trying out kind of a new sugar. This is a natural cane sugar. It hasn't been processed, so it's not white. So going forward, if you see the sugar, it is just regular sugar. It's just not been completely processed. Takes out some of the, you know, makes it more natural, not quite as bad for you, and makes it easier for your body to process. it's off color. It's more of a tan. See right there. And the grains are a little bigger, but other than that, it's just the same. It's the exact same. It even tastes the same. So we're gonna put our half a cup, 100 grams of sugar in there, and as it fizzes, isn't that cool? And now we're just gonna turn our stovetop on. I guess I could have had it on already, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat this until it reduces by half. We're gonna bring it up to a simmer. We're gonna stir it on occasion, and we're gonna heat it by, reduce it down from 3 cups, well essentially 3.5 cups down to a cup. So when I come back, we can do the next step. All right, see you here in a second. All right, we are down to about a cup of liquid. I mean, we're really, really close. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this off for a second. We're not done with it yet, but I'm gonna turn it off for a second now that we're down to a cup. And I'm gonna take 30 milliliters, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And it's fresh lemon juice because in the actual cake part, we're gonna zest some lemons, well, a lemon and an orange. But we're gonna put that in, give that a good whisk around. And this stuff, I mean, I'm pretty sure you could see it when I first started with it. Remember, you could see it fizzing. Now it's like down to nothing. There's literally just a cup of really a lot thicker Coke and some natural sugar, and as that cools, it'll get thicker. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my measuring cup, and I need a 1/4 cup. I need to reserve it for the glaze that we're going to make to put on this. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out now. Oh, it's a little warm. So we'll get that out, which will leave us about 3/4 cup. I mean, it might be off a little bit, but not by much. I actually periodically, when it got down real low, poured it into the 1 cup measuring cup so I could see about where I was on it. All right, so now that I got my 1/4 cup out, I'll set that off to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and put my oven on 350 degrees real quick. Pretty sure it's 350 degrees. Yep, 350 degrees. I'm gonna turn this back on because to this, I am going to add 1 cup, 228 grams of butter. And I've got it, softened, room temperature. And that's just so it'll melt quicker because we want that to melt. And we're also gonna add, and this is the kicker right here, some more sugar. We are going to add 1 cup of regular plain old all-purpose sugar, add half a cup, 100 grams of regular all-purpose sugar, and then 3/4 cup, 165 grams of packed light brown sugar. Now, if you don't know what packed is, that means that you've pushed it down into the measuring cup, or 165 grams if you're using a scale. We're gonna put that in there, and we're just gonna heat this up until until the butter melts and the sugar is dissolved, and then we can move on to actually making the cake. But this is part of the cake. All right, our butter is melted, our sugar is dissolved. It took no time at all. Go ahead and turn that off. So there's where we're at right there. And I mean, it looks like a nice caramel sauce, really. I'm not gonna try it because it's blazing hot, but if I were to try it, I'm sure it tastes like a caramelly Coca Cola, type gig. But we're gonna go ahead and set that there. So while that was reducing, I went ahead and I've got a 12 cup Bundt pan. That's what this recipe called for. If you have a 10 cup, or a large Bundt pan and it's only 10 cup, it's okay. You're probably not gonna use all the batter. But 12 cup, and I went ahead, the recipe called for using a non-stick spray with the flour in it. I don't have any of that, so I did my tried and true. I buttered it. I took a stick of butter, a piece of butter, buttered the heck out of it, and then went ahead and put some flour all around it, so that way our Bundt cake doesn't stick. That's the #1 enemy for Bundt cakes. Now the next thing we need to do is get another whisk because I'm special, and we're going to do our dry ingredients. So in a large bowl, and it needs to be a large bowl because we're actually going to put the wet into the dry. So I have a large bowl that has, we're going to start with 2.5 cups, 300 grams of all-purpose flour, and then it just gets a bunch of stuff mixed in it. The next thing I'm going to put into this is a 1/4 cup, 36 grams of Coca, and I use Dutch process. I've used it now it's been pretty much the sole unsweetened Coca I've used now since I started baking on the channel, you know, a couple, 2-3 years ago now, which is crazy to think. So we'll go ahead and get that in. And then we are going to add, and like I said, there's a lot. I just put it all on one plate. I've got 1 tablespoon of espresso powder. I know you're thinking coffee, but yeah, it actually, you can't taste it, but what it does is it enhances the chocolate, so you have a more chocolatey, robust flavor. I've got 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of baking soda, 1 teaspoon, 2 grams of cinnamon. I have got 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon, 1 gram of nutmeg. I know nutmeg, right? This plate actually smells amazing. And then I've got 1/8 teaspoon, 0.25, 1/4 of a gram. I don't know what that would be in grams, milligram, maybe, of clove, of ground clove. So, and we're just gonna take all that and pitch that in there. If I can get it all off the plate. I must have a wet spot on the plate. That's never good. Well, I mean, it's not bad, but it definitely causes things to stick, right? So, we'll go ahead and get this whisked up real quick. Okay, so go ahead, got that mixed together. Now we're gonna do our wet ingredients real quick. So in a medium-sized bowl, I've got 2 eggs, 2 large eggs at 100 grams, and then I've got 2 egg yolks, which is like right around 60 grams of large egg yolks. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that in the bowl first, and then before we add anything else to it, let's take our whisk and give it and just break them. Now my eggs are at room temperature. You know, I'm not mixing them till they're light and fluffy or anything like that. I just want to get them together. So after we put the eggs and the yolk in there, I have got 2/3 of a cup, which is 170 milliliters of buttermilk. That's at room temperature also. I use powdered buttermilk. It lasts longer. Oven's ready to go. And then we can add our sour cream, which is 8 ounces. I don't remember what it is. You'd think I'd be more prepared. But if you're new to my channel, I've never made this before. We make everything together pretty much for the first time. It's 1/2 cup, 96 grams of sour cream. I'll throw that in there. Let me get a spatula real quick. We don't want to leave that much behind. Get that mixed in there real quick. We're going to take a teaspoon and a half of vanilla extracts. That's 6 grams. And we're going to put that in. And then the last thing we're going to add, I just had it. Where did I put it? There it is. I have a teaspoon of lemon zest and a teaspoon of orange zest in this container together. And all I did was just take my zester, which is like a fine microplane grater, and take the outer edge of it off. Now when you do that, here, let me show you real quick, just because I have the lemon sitting here. When you zest, only because nobody ever told me this, and it's funny how, you don't really, a lot of people don't mention this, but I don't know if you can see that or not. See how it's two different colors? All right, so that's the actual zest part. That is the rind. You want to stay away from that. That's very bitter, and you will feel the difference in the in the microplane when you've gotten past the outer layer. The outer layer, the part you're zesting, is actually very sweet. So, and all our stuff was at room temperature. So our buttermilk, our sour cream, our eggs, all that good stuff, room temperature. All right, so if I remember right, the next thing we're gonna do is combine our wet with yeah. So now all we have to do, now that we got that combined, now you could also put that zest in your dry mix, which would help break it up, and that's pretty cool. So now we're going to take our Coca Cola syrup that we have in here with the butter and all that. Now I'm going to grab my glove there because that's warm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually add this in here. You could also temper it. I mean, we're kind of tempering it on a grand scale this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly add this in while I stir continuously. Because if you don't, you could run the risk of cooking your eggs. And that you don't want to do. I'll do it the opposite way. That's not even that hot. So I'm going to go ahead and get this poured in there, and then we can move on. All right. We got this nice and mixed up. It's got that nice caramel color. Almost looks like mud, I guess, for lack of a better word. So we're done with the whisk. What we need to do now is take our dry. We're gonna grab our spatula here real quick, and we're gonna make a well in the center, right? So we're gonna take our dry goods and our dry mix, and we're gonna push it off to the side, just like that. And then we are going to pour this in the center of it, just like such. It's almost like making biscuits, but it obviously is going to be fuller than the dry. But what we're going to do all the same is start in the center, and we're just going to stir it. All right, we don't need to necessarily whisk it. We can, but we don't have to. All right, we got it all mixed up. There is our batter. Yeah, and I'm assuming that you switch from a whisk to a spoon or a spatula and stir instead of whisk is because you want to eliminate the, at least try not to get a lot of air in there. So then, and I would just normally just pour this in, but it tells you to, scoop it in. So I'm going to use a measuring cup and put it in there, and I'm going to guess again it has something to do with the air bubbles. Bundt cakes are traditionally a denser cake, almost like a pound cake. So that would be my guess as to why we're doing this. And you want to make sure you're well combined. Everything in there is good and solid. And you notice we didn't use a hand mixer, we didn't use a stand mixer. It's just a very 2 bowl and 1 pot and a pan type of recipe. Now, real quick, and then I'm gonna finish filling this up because I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me scoop the whole thing in. Let's say you only have a 10-cup Bundt pan and not a 12. 2/3 of the way up is the way to go, okay? So you don't want to go any higher than 2/3 of the way up. What will happen is this cake's going to start to rise and it'll blow out and go all over the place. So just like cupcakes, 2/3 of the way up. Okay, so let me get this filled up and then we will talk about what to do when we put it in the oven. Alright, so we got it filled up and we're about 2/3 of the way full. We're about there, which is, it might be about closer to half, but we're not that full. So even though she didn't say, I am going to take this and I am going to tap it on the counter a couple times and get those air bubbles to the top and get them out. It just makes me nervous. because I know how bundt cakes can traditionally go way higher than the pan if you're not careful. So I'm gonna go ahead, remember we preset our oven to 350 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and get this in there on the center rack, right dead in the middle. There we are. Now the recipe said to take this bad boy and bake it for 25 minutes. So I have never seen a bundt cake take 25 minutes, but and a couple of the comments that were on there said they had to go longer. But I want to follow this recipe and see where it takes us. And this is something I don't think that's going to get us in a whole lot of trouble, so to speak. But we're just going to we'll bake it for the 25 minutes, and then we're just going to toothpick test it like we would do any other cake. We'll go to, even though it's got the center's missing, right? You'll just find the center of that ring, and I check it on two sides. You know, so I'll check it on the right and I'll check it on the left, and I'll just run it down to the deepest part. And if it comes out with just a hair bit of crumb or no crumb, we know we're good. But the general census on the original recipe was about 45 to 50 minutes. But I'll let you know for sure when I get back, and then we can talk about what to do when we take it out of the oven. All right, see you here in a second. Okay, so we pulled it out of the oven. It actually took 40 minutes, not 25. I had set the timer for additional 20 minutes and then checked it every 5 minutes until my toothpick came out clean. So all I did was put the toothpick in, and then as always, you know, nice and clean. And like I said, I did that in 5-minute intervals until, and I would have lessened it, you know, as I went to less than 5 minutes if, yeah, we were a little more ahead, yeah, if we were ahead of the game. So after I pulled it out of the oven, what I did was I let it sit here on the rack just like this for 15 minutes. And then after that 15 minutes is up, we're gonna take it and we're gonna turn it upside down. So all I'm gonna do is take my rack, put it on there like such, and we're gonna turn it upside down. And we're gonna leave it sit like that till it cools completely. And that's gonna take about an hour and a half. So when I come back, we will make our mix, or make our glaze, because it gets a glaze on it. And I will have the top off, and we'll take the top off of this, make our glaze, which is a quick, easy glaze, but it involves that last little quarter cup of the syrup we made, and some powdered sugar and some other stuff. But anyhow, I digress. When I come back, we'll take the lid off of this, make our icing real quick, pour the glaze on it, and try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 second. Okay, so it's been a little over an hour and a half. We did the whole dinner thing, cleanup thing, and now it's time to do the cake. So, got my plate, and all we have to do now is flip this back over, which it moves, so that's a good sign. We'll put our plate on here like such, maybe. Give it a flip over. Yep, it dropped. Hopefully it turned out pretty. We will look. Oh yeah, look at that. That's gorgeous. Now, remember how we tapped it? This is lesson learned. Or a learning lesson. Remember how we tapped it before we put it in the oven to get the air out? See the, I don't know if you can see them or not because it's so dark in here, but yeah, see the air hole right there, right there, right there, right there? That's from where we didn't give it just enough taps and it had air still in it. It's all right though, not a big deal. But look how beautiful that thing turned out. I mean, that's just gorgeous. Now, if we wanted to be kind of professional about it or whatever, we would take it and look how sturdy that is, and flatten the bottom so it doesn't have that domed all the way around look. But you know what? Who cares? As long as it tastes good. Not me, you know, for sure. But we'll go ahead and set that down. Let me adjust the camera for us so that way we can be down here on the counter to see what we can see, so to speak. That way we can get our icing made. There we go. Beautiful. Stunning. Gorgeous. Alright, so 5 simple ingredients because we got the syrup. In this small bowl, I have got 3/4 cup, 96 grams of powdered sugar, and I have got 1 tablespoon, 8 grams of Dutch processed cocoa powder. To this, I am going to add 2 tablespoons, 28 grams of melted butter. I am going to add 1 teaspoon, I don't remember what the milliliters are. I don't have milliliters on it. Offhand, I don't know, but I'm going to guess 10. I think is right because it's 3 teaspoons, about as a tablespoon. So yeah, 10 milliliter of whole milk, vitamin D milk, and then we're going to pour our 1/4 cup of reserve syrup in there, and then all we have to do is I'm going to grab we'll use a whisk. I was going to use a fork. Well, let's use a whisk, and we're just going to whisk this together to make the glaze. All right, we got her mixed together. Oh, other than some air bubbles there, but see how it's nice and smooth and creamy and rich. That's what we're looking for right there. That looks gorgeous, and the butter is what helps make it look that silky smooth like that. So now, I mean, we got a bazillion options. We could, take our spat or our whisk here and just drizzle it on. We could take a spoon, however you like to do it. I, on the other hand, I'm just gonna pour it on, and that way we can, get her going good. All right there, ladies and germs. That's what they used to say back in the day. Ladies and germs. There we are. I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. It's definitely got a chocolate on chocolate look. The icing is a hair lighter than the cake. Now, I will say the reason, if you were to see the picture of the one that I got the recipe off of, this is a lot lighter in color than the other, and I believe it's because of the chocolate they use. Dutch chocolate does a lot of different things. It gives it a darker, richer look than, say, your semi-sweet or your just unsweetened cocoa because of the way it's processed. And that's kind of what I like about it. But anyhow, I don't want to sit here and chit-chat and take up your whole day, so let's cut us a little piece here. It's late and I don't need a big piece. I'm trying to watch my girlish figure. Get this piece cut here. That cuts so smooth, so soft. And we will. Oh, no! That's alright. It was going so well too. It's so moist. I know this because I got it all over my hands. That's alright. That's alright. You know what? Because it's still going to taste good in my mouth. Here, we'll put that piece back in there for the money shot. There we are. Other than the fact I dropped it coming out, I think that looks marvelous. Hands down. Now, all we got to do is give it a try. Let me get the camera backed out here, so that way I can see your smiling face, because that's important. I think smiling faces are important, right? I think that's one of the main reasons why I bake. I mean, other than the fact I like to bake, which you gotta like what you do, right? Like when I give somebody a piece of pie or a piece of cake or a cupcake, and they take that bite, and you can see their grin ear to ear. That is the most amazing feeling for me. Because for even if it's just a brief second, I made their day better. you know, I made him smile. I did something right. So let's make ourselves smile and try this cake. We'll get this front piece here that I know has got some icing drizzle on it, and give her a shot, right? Cheers. Oh wait, or did you want the first bite? I mean, you can. All right, I'll do it. That cake is super moist. I mean, you can't beat that. I can't, for having a bunch of butter in it, super moist. And I read somewhere, I don't remember where it was, that the reason why they were putting Coke in there to begin with was, even though we did it differently by heating it up and condensing it, was the carbonation would give it lift, but the syrup that's in the pop would make it moist, and that it definitely did. This is just, it's off the hook moist. I don't even know how to, and you don't even need the icing. I mean, it really, the cake in and of itself is amazing. They did recommend topping it with whipped cream and a cherry. I can see that, which would give you that kind of ultimate Coke experience, or cola experience. And I think, because me and Chris tried a little of the batter earlier, when you bake, it's like cooking. You always kind of taste test, even if it's just a little bit, to see where you're at. You never know, man, need more something, more sugar, more whatever. And with cooking, it's more spices. But it took us a minute to figure out the flavor, but it almost tastes like the root beer sticks that you used to get back in the day. It's a little different, but, or like the root beer barrels, the candy. It's very close to that, but with just a hair more chocolate to it. It's an absolutely wonderful cake. And now that I've made one, it's not nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be with 22 ingredients. That's a lot of ingredients, I don't care who you are. The hardest part about making this cake was actually the patience it took to reduce that Coke down to 1 cup. And you think about it, we went from, essentially, we reduced it by 3/4. It was 3/4 of a cup, or three-quarters of it was 3 cups of pop, and then, or soda or cola or wherever you're from, depending on what you call it, that, and 1 cup of sugar. That's 4 cups of substance down to 1 cup, and that took about 40 minutes. I now know that this takes 40 minutes in the oven, but that's no big deal. Letting it sit here and cool down, that's no big deal. We go on and we do things. We ate dinner. So that was probably the hardest part of this whole cake, and that, well, most time consuming, because you gotta watch it. You don't want it to boil over or something stupid like that. But anyhow, I'm gonna quit talking and making this video like 800 years long. Give this cake a try. Let me know if you do. Or, you know, I don't think you'll be disappointed. As a matter of fact, I know you won't be disappointed. And, you know, this would be good at a party. I don't think it would last very long. I think people would be coming back for seconds if you cut the slices thin enough. Hands down. So, that being said, next week, no idea. No idea. I've got a dozen dinner recipes that I want to try. I got probably a dozen baking recipes I want to try. So, and I have no idea which one I'm going to choose first. So, we'll see come next week. But until next week for dinner, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them. They may need to hear it. And if nothing else, it's going to put a smile on their face. And it's going to make their day a whole lot better. It's going to make you feel better to tell them, I guarantee it. If you make one of these Coca Cola pies, yeah, or cakes, you're going to show your love and admiration for whoever you share it with. And it's going to lead to some great conversation. Probably a good cup of coffee. That would definitely go with a good cup of coffee. You know, and once you get coffee and cake going, that could be hours of conversation and a good time on a front porch, at a kitchen table, Hey, wherever you like to eat your cake at. So, until next week, I'll see you then. All right? I love you. Talk to you later. All right? Bye-bye.